In today's video, we're going to talk about how to solve two-step equations. Solving two-step equations requires two steps. The mission is the same as in one-step equations, and that is to isolate the variable. In order to solve these equations, we need to think about the reverse order of operations. Begin by removing anything that is added or subtracted to the term containing the variable using the subtraction property of equality or the addition property of equality. Then, remove anything multiplied or divided using the division property of equality or the multiplication property of equality. Finally, remember that the division bar acts as a grouping symbol for fractions with two terms in the numerator. This should be dealt with last. When you are finished solving, you should always check your solution using substitution. All right, let's look at a couple of examples. Example number 1. Notice in this problem right off the bat we have the division bar and we have two terms in the numerator. That division bar acts like a grouping symbol. So you may wish to go ahead and put parentheses around the terms in the numerator. So the first thing I'm going to do in order to solve this is get rid of the divided by 7. Again, reverse order of operations, grouping symbols would come last. So if you think order of operations, right, is gems, so we start with adding and subtracting and work our way backwards to grouping symbols. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 7 here. So I'm going to draw my line down the middle, or the wall. Sometimes I call that the wall. And we're going to multiply by 7, and we're going to multiply by 7. When I do that, I have a plus 8 is equal to 14. And then I'm going to use the subtraction property of equality to subtract 8 from both sides, leaving me with a is equal to 8 minus 14, or 6. So it's a good idea to check your work with two-step equations. So I'm going to plug 6 back in for a. So I have 6 plus 8 all over 7. 6 plus 8 is 14. And 14 divided by 7 is 2, which is what I was looking to get right there. Alright, example number 2. Notice now I only have one term in the numerator, so I don't need to worry about the division bar as a grouping symbol. So I can start by getting rid of the 8 being added to the term with the variable in it. So notice this is a positive 8. In order to remove a positive 8, I'm going to need to subtract 8 from both sides. That's the subtraction property of equality. When I do that, these two will cancel out, and I'm left with x over 3 is equal to negative 2. Use the multiplication property of equality, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. And that gives me x is equal to negative 6. Notice I'm multiplying by the same number that I divided by in order to cancel that out. Alright, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to check our work. So I have 8 plus negative 6 over 3. There's 8 plus negative 6 over 3 is negative 2. 8 plus negative 2 is 6. And that's what I was looking for. So both of these, I did them correctly. Right, next example, I have 2n plus 4 equals 0. First thing I need to worry about is getting rid of anything added or subtracted to the term with a variable. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4 from both sides. So 2n is equal to negative 4, subtraction property of equality. I then see multiplication, so I'm going to use division to solve that. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And when I do that, I end up with n is equal to negative 2. Check my work. So I have 2 times negative 2 plus 4. So we're using that substitution property. We're substituting in negative 2 for n. And that's equal to 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And negative 4 plus 4 is equal to 0, which is exactly what I was looking for here. Last example for solving two-step equations. I have a minus 4, so I'm going to use the addition property of equality, and I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So this gives me negative 144 is equal to negative 8k. Divide both sides by negative 8, division property of equality there. And negative 144 divided by 8 is not a mental math skill that I know, although I probably should. Grab my handy dandy calculator here. And that would be 18. So I have 18 is equal to k. Remember, a negative divided by a negative results in a positive answer. Last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to check my work to make sure I got that question correct. So I'm going to have negative 8 times 18 plugged in for k minus 4. Negative 8 times 18 is negative 144. And negative 144 minus 4 is negative 148, which is the number that I am in fact looking for.